I'm not going to be as effective as if I've figured out what was the thing that made me valuable, that makes me different, and that allows me to connect in a way that is authentic to me.
Yes.
Right. And when you're doing that, you actually will make an impact. You'll be a trailblazer. You'll be a fire starter. People will be attracted to you. And that
welcome to Yes She Can. How are you?
I'm fabulous. How are you doing? I'm excited to be here today.
Excited as well. I've been kind of following you and hoping for this day to come because I've been following your feed and the things that you say and read. And I think we have a common ground and we have things to say. So I'm happy to have you on board.
Happy to be here.
So for those who don't know you, just a little introduction about who you are and what you do.
Okay, absolutely. I am a career and executive coach, as well as a consultant. I have about 20 years of experience in human resources. So, and last year I transitioned out of the HR into just building my own business. And one of the things I wanted to do is really help women advance in their careers. So having self-doubt and fear that so many women have to hold themselves back from really believing in the value that they bring to the table. And so helping women to really own their power, know their worth, step up and own it, and really use that newfound confidence to advance in their career. Because what I find is that a lot of women hold themselves back, not because they don't know what to do or they don't have the expertise. They just don't really believe in that power that they have and the value that they bring. And so helping them to uncover that and to discover that and to advance in their career through that.
Yeah, fabulous. So yeah, I saw on your website that you are about women owning their power, which is very, very important. But in this day and age where still, when you enter a room as a woman, you're either the first, the only woman, or different woman there, even in 2020. How then do you kind of use your difference to kind of propel you for success?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I think when we think about organizations, and I primarily work with organizations, but I also work with people one-on-one as well. And the thing about a lot of organizations is that in order for organizations to be successful, there need to be people with different perspectives that bring different insights to the table. However, traditionally, what's been the case is that you mainly hear the voice of one specific group. And a lot of time, in particular, in high-level leadership positions, at least in the US, I can speak for the US, only 20% of the top C-suite positions are held by women. And then if you think about specifically women of color, the number is even more dire, it's 5%, which means that when decisions are being made, there's a gap. There is like a total lack of female voice in the room, and particularly depending on the country you are, particularly women of color. So there is actually a value proposition for you to show up and to use your voice, because when you are not at the table, there's literally a void, there's literally a gap, and decisions that are going to actually positively impact the corporation without your voice, it won't happen. And so understanding the value that you bring, understanding that your voice is needed, and understanding that different perspective is actually going to be what makes the organization valuable and be able to reach out to broader markets so it's not just a feel-good thing, right? It's actually the ability to reach markets and reach individuals that just one voice at the table is not going to be able to reach.
Interesting. So I posted something recently on LinkedIn, and it was a group of men on one side of the table and then just one lady on the other side. And they are kind of they are interviewing the lady and they're asking her, what are you bringing to this company? So their question is, we're already doing well as a company full of men. What difference are you bringing? In such a state, how should a woman or the lady in that seat answer?
Hopefully that question is not based on the fact that you're a woman. Hopefully that question is just based on you as an individual, because if the organization is asking you that question, it's like, oh, like we're doing well and we're, 95% men, like, that's a red flag, I would say. But if they're asking you what is the value that you're bringing to the table, it's really being able to articulate what I say, your full story, your education, right? Your degree, your education, your training, not just that, but your life experience. Your life experience can also include your language skills, right? It can include a different perspective that based on your training, based on your life experience that you bring to the table that nobody else can bring. And so it's really hard to say that from a broad level. What each of us have to do is really dive deep into that background, into that experience, and understand what value that we bring that nobody else can bring. And how does it align to the corporation as well as what the corporation needs. So really understanding the value proposition that you bring and how that's going to benefit the corporation.
True. So sometimes you have this great idea, you want to do something extraordinary and you're super excited about it. And sometimes you even start working on it and then you go to bed, you wake up and you go like, oh my God, what have I gotten myself into? Why did I put the world's problem on my head? Why am I doing this? This self-doubt and imposter syndrome and stuff like that start trickling in. Yeah. How then do you try not to get paralyzed by these thoughts, because they do come?
Yeah. I think, first of all, is really understanding why, and if I understand the question properly, is if you're stepping out and you're doing something new and the self-doubt shows up, right? And so first of all, when I tell people the reason self-doubt shows up is because learning and growing is happening. It's actually because you're doing something new, right? If you were just this person that you were satisfied with your previous accomplishments and the things that you do well, you would be resting, as they say, on your laurels and basking in your old victories, right? Your old accomplishments. Yeah. But if you are ambitious, I would say gladiator woman, that you're always pushing forward, like I know you are, and probably your community is, you're never satisfied with the status quo. You're always pushing, and because of that, when you try to do something new, you're stepping outside of your comfort zone. This is when fear and self-doubt will kick in. And literally what it is, it's your fight. So it's not to get scared, it's recognizing that your fight or flight response is kicking in. And what that fight or flight response has been activated by is it's our brain's way of protecting ourselves from danger. Because people don't realize that our brain doesn't know the difference between real danger, like getting run over a car, which is real danger, or a perceived threat. And that perceived threat may be emotional. It may be fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of criticism from other people. Oh my God, what are they going to say? What if I fail? And so our brain goes into fight or flight mode. And so first of all, it's like literally not to freak out, just realize, oh, I'm doing something new. And because I'm doing something new, my body literally has to reacclimate itself and get used to this new thing that I'm stretching it in. And so recognizing that you're not weird or strange, so you move away the stigma from it. Yeah. And honestly, that recognition immediately that you have that you're not weird or strange is actually a normal part of the learning and the growth process. That is like, I would say 80% of the battle. Recognizing also that other people experience it as well. So you remove the shame and the doubt and the stigma that's associated with that self-doubt. And then in the moment, I would say, practice being calm. So that would be the third tip. I'm giving you like 3 tips and then I'll pause it because it's a lot you can do. But practice being calm, like, breathe, slow down. When we just started this interview, I was probably a little bit out of breath because I was running around before the beginning. It's just pausing, calming down, slowing down in the moment and allowing your body to just settle in as well. So those are the 3 things I would say you could do.
Talk to me about calm confidence. I saw that on your blog and I found that very interesting. Just something small about creating calm confidence.
Yeah. And the reason I wrote about calm confidence is that at least in I can only speak for what I would say the US or the Western world. When we think about, and you could tell me if it's any different, but when we think about confidence, we think about the person who is the loudest person in the room, right? The one that is just the most indignant, speaking up, like maybe even the most assertive, probably even, so it's the loudest person, right? And the reality is that is one form of how confidence could be. Also, sometimes the louder you are, sometimes you have to think about whether or not you're actually confident or you're overcompensating, right?
True,
As
true,
well.
true.
So like sometimes you say, oh, this person outspoken and loud, and I'm like, really, is it real confidence?
Yeah.
And so confidence for me can be very still, right? It can be very still, can be quiet. You don't actually have to be the loudest person in the room, but when you know that you know something, and you know the value that you bring to the table, and you own it unapologetically, you don't actually have to be loud. You don't have to be combative. You could just be calm, and you could speak from that place of calmness, right? There's an expression that I get from Lisa Nichols that I love. I say probably every interview I've ever been on, so I have to give her credit, but she says, I have nothing to prove, nothing to protect, nothing to defend. I am enough.
Yeah.
And you see the energy of that? Because when you show up that you have nothing to prove, nothing to protect, nothing to defend, and you're sure you're enough, you don't have to be loud. You just show up. Yeah, you're not combating anything. You're not fighting anything. You're just letting your wisdom flow.
Allowing yourself to be.
Allowing yourself to be.
Because you can't control what others are doing. So if you try to compensate for other people, you miss out on who you are. And then your essence is missing. It's lost in the whole scenario. True.
Because you're spending so much energy trying to be something that you're not, or prove your worth, or prove your value, that where's the rest of the energy? Because energy is needed to innovate. Energy is needed to create. Energy is needed to bring value. But if you're spending all that energy and expending it fighting something, oh my God, like I have to fight the system. I have to prove that I belong here. I have to prove something. That is nervous energy. That's draining energy. But when you've done the work, so I'm going to answer your question in a minute, but the reason I wrote that is because that our energy has to come from a deep place. That is not something, a lot of times people say, fake it until you make it. And yeah, there is something to be said about acting like, but when you've done the deep work, and you know who you are, you know what you bring to the table, and you've spent the time, like I said in the beginning, really reflecting on your life experiences and your values, as well as your education and everything that makes you you, that allows you to bring something different to the discussion that nobody else can bring, then you show up with that internal peace and internal stillness, and that confidence comes from calmness. I mean, you may be passionate, like I get passionate, I get loud, but it's not because I'm trying to prove anything. And so the way you get that calm confidence is actually spending the time to build that self-awareness, to recognize, to validate yourself, instead of expecting other people to validate you, to celebrate the things that you bring to the table, and literally to just be still, meditate, because we practice anxiousness all the time, right? Anxiety is so, and I mean, I'll tell myself, I'll be super transparent
about it.
There are many times that I feel anxious, and it's a red flag, especially now in this age of coronavirus and racial tensions. It's just a lot, political divisions. It's a lot coming at us. So it's no judgment to people that we're practicing anxiety and that we're feeling anxious. I feel the effects of it too. I'm human. But when I feel the effects of it, I remind myself, oh, I've spent a lot of time practicing anxiety, which means I've spent a lot of time watching the news, watching TV. I've spent a lot of time on social media. I've spent a lot of time talking negative and complaining. And that's all practicing anxiety. So what am I doing to actually practice calmness? And practicing calmness means deep breathing. It means meditating. It means walking on the beach. It means journaling. All these self-care practices are what, so if and I'll post a link somewhere about that blog that talks about calm confidence. It will actually walk you through all the things that you can actually build in your life that will build self-confidence from this internal calm.
True, because one thing I noticed around me, and sometimes I did have it myself in the past, I noticed that I call it the power of the pants syndrome. And that's because sometimes you think, because most of the time we are the first, the only, the different, we feel we have to act like the men to show them that we can do what they can do. But you don't have to prove that, or else every day you find yourself fighting, because yes, there are some people still in the world who don't accept yet, or haven't broadened their mindset yet to accept what a woman or a Black person or a Black woman can do or cannot do. But you can't go on every day trying to prove your seat. And as you said, just looking at women like Bosma St. John, Michelle Obama behind you, Oprah Winfrey, and women like that, they've just owned themselves. It may have taken them time, but there's no denial that they own their space. Like Bosma, for example, she said she doesn't wear gray suit, even though she's in a C-suite. Like every guy or every person that goes there either wears gray suit or blue or red, but she will wear blings and big earrings and her makeup is on point. And so she's owning her space. And I think from that, you have this sense of courage and confidence, because you're you. Always tapping from within you. It may be a bit odd the first few days, but people will always gravitate towards an authentic person, I do believe. True.
And you hit the nail on the head. People will connect to authenticity. People will connect to your humanity. Sure. They will never connect to who you're trying to be, because it's actually not you. And so, and when I say this, I actually don't get a lot of backlash. I don't get too much backlash. I get some, but I don't get too much backlash, because it's not coming from a place of men are horrible, or like white men or disgust, whatever. It's from a place of, you actually do bring value as a male. You actually do bring value specifically as a white male. The difference is I bring value too. And for me to own it, and to own it what it looks like on me, and not try to be you to prove that I have value. Because there's nothing in me that wants to be a man. If I'm going to try to show up like a man and have these like characteristics that are, that are not me, then it's not going to be authentic. And that you talked about Bosoma St. John. I love her. She didn't show up. She's actually, I watched one of her interviews where she said she tried showing up in the gray suit.
Yes, I saw that too. Yeah.
But it didn't work for her.
No. True.
And so now she's in the red and orange earrings, and she's all out there. And guess what? We're all attracted to that, because when we're coming from this place of authenticity, it is confidence, because you are fully yourself, and recognizing that being fully yourself is enough. So I have to like calm myself, because I will like go on and say, okay, let her speak.
So we've talked about having different voices at the table. And let's say a company brings in a lady, for example, usually for statistics' sake or whatever reason, and she will definitely have a different voice at the table. Now, the company is used to doing things the way they used to. How then do you strategically navigate your way around organizational politics so that your voice is heard?
Yeah, that's a very challenging one. First of all, it starts from the place of what we talked about before, doing the self-work, being reflection,
Mm.
knowing what you bring and coming from that place. And also it requires interpersonal skills, right? It requires influence and interpersonal skills. And so a lot of us, you know, when you're the first, what we default to is, I could do better all by myself. I could do it. I don't need, no. If you're going to actually drive change in an organization, you know, you may be the light. Yes, you might be the fire starter, but you actually have to partner with other people.
Yes.
And so first of all, I like to say one of my new things I'm beginning to say is like preach to the converted, right? Which what that specifically means is there are people that have similar vision, similar value, similar, and they may not look like you, but you need to, or they may, you need to find those people within the organization, especially people with influence and social capital, and partner with them, right, in order to drive the change, right? And so, especially you just said when you're new to an organization, first of all, you've got to start working hard and delivering results. I say that's the foundation to anything. Like if you're not delivering results, you literally, nobody's going to listen to you because you're like a lot of talk and no substance.
Nothing, yeah.
And what you get respect from when you have proven, even Bazoma says, she's like, I've got my receipts. I have my experience. I've got my results, right? So you got to be able to show some receipts. Nobody wants to hear from somebody who doesn't deliver results. But once you deliver results, the second thing is partnering with other people, finding people that the organization already respects, people that organization already is influential with the rest of the decision makers in the organization, and that they are a decision maker themselves. You build an alliance with them.
Yeah, find a way to connect.
Find a way to connect.
You need them.
Yeah, because you need them. You need them to be able to push things through. And again, those are the people that's already converted, or already believe in the mission, already believe in the purpose, and already believe in you, right? So building those alliances, getting to know people, and partnering with decision makers and influencers so that you can work together to push change in an organization. And I specifically say decision makers because literally, and I know from experience, I've tried to transform an organization grassroots, right? You're like, we're going to be the rebels from the bottom up. But change actually does never last unless the leaders in the organization are bought in. And so you've got to find people on the top to align with you. And if there's nobody at the top that's ready or have the vision and they're not aligned with you, and you don't see a path that you can actually work towards it, then I go to then find somewhere that is good, because there's a lot, like what people don't realize, and that leads me to something else real quick, especially us as women. We will stay in an organization, and I'm so outspoken about this. We will stay somewhere where our talent isn't valued, we're not appreciated, we're not nurtured. It's like being in a toxic, abusive, unhealthy relationship with a man. Like he treats you bad, but you hope that one day it's going to get better, so you keep coming back and coming back, right?
Yeah.
And it's the same way with an organization. If the organization doesn't value you, is not aligned to your values, and you don't see that they are going to be open enough to be accepting of what you're going to say, then find an organization that can. Because I guarantee you, in my 20 years of HR, a man will quit a job that does not value them like 10 times faster than a woman will.
Girl, yes, we have this thought of be grateful you are here, be a good girl, don't challenge the system. Like, you are grateful to have the space, so don't mess things up. Just don't mess things up. Go with the flow. But when you have people like me, let me just say it, I just kind of find a way to rattle something. And because if I don't see something's going right, I'll speak up. And I think I learned from some of these things, like partnering with people who are leaders and decision makers, and trying to work so that your work would also be a testament for you, so that when you speak, there's receipts showing that you know what you're doing, or at least they will give you the benefit of the doubt to go forward.
Yeah, I love. It's true. Yeah, the substance, we talked about it. And I love something that you said that was so key, is that not only do you have to show the receipts to show the results that you can bring, But sometimes we get too grateful to be at the table. And I believe in gratitude. I'm all about the gratitude. Thanksgiving is about to come up in
Good. Thank you.
Thank you. But like, you hired me for a reason, right? I'm here for a reason. And so don't be so grateful that you're at the table that you're unwilling to disrupt the table, right?
Yeah. And I hear from like Bosma Angel, even if like her post up today, even if you hired me for statistics because you want to increase the number of women in your company, well, you didn't go to the streets to just pick anyone, you picked me. That means there was something that qualified me enough to come into that room. And once I'm there, I have a voice. And I have to use it. I have to use it strategically because there are systems, there are politics that I can't deny, and have to know how to deal with people because they are human beings, and deal with organizations so that together we build it to become something better, so that someday they can say that Eugenia contributed to this company.
They're not going to hire somebody that's unqualified.
Yeah.
Your resume got you the job.
Yes.
Your resume, oh, and she says like she threw out this like, oh, the fact that I'm a Black woman is just the sauce, right? But that's the point. Like, your resume is what got you hired. Like, they're not going to bring somebody that's unqualified into a role, and you just get the added benefit of me being a woman, right? And I don't.
Yes.
And one of the things I love to point out, because of my background in corporate HR, is that what's happening now is literally equalizing and balancing out what used to happen. Because what used to happen is, and it still happens, that people get hired based on their connections.
Yeah.
And the connections, you know, a guy will know a guy a lot faster, and I'll bring my buddy in. So how many, it's like we question whether or not this person is hired because you're qualified, but how come you didn't question when the CEO hired his neighbor's kid? They probably weren't qualified either. So the reality is connections, and people hire people. And so don't diminish the fact that you got hired because you felt like somebody handed you something. You got hired because there was something in you that there was being brought, that needed to be brought to the table, that wasn't being brought to the table. Own it, show up powerfully, and do not allow yourself to be diminished by anyone else, and don't diminish yourself.
Yeah, I think this needs to go out more, because I, for one, had that feeling when I got hired into one company. So I was with my friend Emil, and he wanted that job first. He told me about it. Then we both applied, and I got it. He didn't get it, and I thought he was more qualified for it. So then I was sitting down asking myself, did they hire me because I'm a girl? Do I deserve to be here? Like, I don't deserve. He should be here, and I was feeling this imposter syndrome, and it really weighed me down. And I would say for a fact that it did contribute to maybe the decline of my work till I woke up and started contributing in the way that I found I could execute in that space.
You see how powerful that self-talk
is? It is.
It's like you
nobody told me.
Nobody
myself.
Yeah. And you basically began, luckily you broke out of it, but you sabotage yourself and convince yourself to shrink from whatever they brought to the table, right? Let's say, I mean, and I don't believe that this was the case, but let's say even if they did, you know, hire you because, both of you have the same experience and you have a resume that's very similar, I'm sure. Maybe his little one up, maybe he had one extra year, and your little one up was the fact that you're going to bring a perspective that he can't bring, right? Let's even if that was the worst case scenario, and you told yourself that you're still hired to do a job. And by sabotaging yourself, you're actually not contributing, and you're actually not doing your job.
You're still
service, not just to the organization, but to yourself and to other women that look like you, right?
Tell me about it.
So I'm like, okay, listen, like, first of all, like, and this is what I make sure I'm always advocating, because it's bad. It's the worst thing is when it's internal, right? The expression that says, when there is no enemy within, the enemy outside can't do you any harm.
Yeah.
On the other hand, sometimes it's external, and sometimes people will say certain things, and I will literally, they don't usually say it to me because I'm HR, but I'll overhear them talking about, oh, she just got hired because she's a woman. And I was just like, okay, so, and you just got hired because you knew the CEO or you knew the hiring manager. Is that what you want me to say? Like, there's always a reason.
There's always a reason why someone got hired. Exactly.
And it's not always just based on your resume. That's what people want to tell themselves because we fool ourselves into believing. But there are multiple factors why people are hired. And again, it goes back to the life story that you have. Because if everybody else looks the same, what sense is it going to be to bring somebody else with the exact same background, with the exact same college, exact same experience? You're not bringing anything to the table that's going to allow this organization to level up and be more innovative, right?
True. Okay, tell me about the first time you put up the YouTube video. I heard something about that.
Oh, my video. Oh my gosh. Yes. So I speak about, again, I have an Own Your Power coaching program that teaches women to be confident, own their power, break through self-doubt so that they can advance their business as well as their careers. That's what I say. That's my spiel, right? And it's so funny because I tell people, just be careful what you teach and what you put out in the world, because there will always be a test to whatever you teach. Are you the real deal, or are you just teaching this? So I'm all right, I'm going to post my YouTube video. I don't know if it was my first or my second. I think the first one was fine because the very first one, I was in Brazil when I posted it. I was on vacation. I was happy. But the second one I posted the video and I put it up there, and I was just like, it really hit me. I was just like, oh my God, like I'm out here putting up YouTube videos. Like, first of all, what do you think you know more than anybody else? Why should anybody listen to you? You think you're smart? Like, you think like, and so this is the voice. Like, why do you think you're better than anybody else? Why would somebody want to listen to you? Like, what experience so that talk was in my voice. And it was so bad that I really thought about deleting the video. If I delete this video, the self-doubt is going to win, and I'm going to be not authentic to my mission and to my message. And if I'm going to be out here telling people to do these things, then I can't shrink back from the light, right? See, I'm used to, at least previously, because right now I'm on center stage for the whole but before, I used to be in the dark. I used to be, hiding in the background, supporting everybody else, and not willing to put myself on center stage and to be the loudest or the brightest person in the room. And so when I did that, this was me actually coming out of hiding. It was me putting myself out there, and that felt scary. And literally, yes, there were tears rolling down my face, and I was crying. And then I was just like, but it doesn't matter. This is just, again, what I said before. Sometimes it doesn't feel good to be courageous, because courageous is feeling the fear and do it anyway. And I'm doing it. I'm putting it up. I don't care if anybody puts any negative comments out there. I don't care if anybody says this is stupid. Luckily, in that video, nobody did. And by the time I got my first negative comment, it was just like a year later. And by then I had developed some thick skin that I didn't really care that much, because I know my message isn't for everybody. It's for the people who need to hear it. And so if everybody else doesn't like it, it doesn't matter. And so that's another tip to break self-doubt, is making sure that you know your why. Simon Sinek says, know your why. So be aligned to your value, be aligned to your mission, to be aligned to your purpose, so that when the hard times do come, you are centered into why you're doing it. And if it's about you, then you're probably not going to last. But if it's about something greater than yourself, for me, one of my values is contribution. I want to contribute to the lives of others. So if, I mess up, it's like, it doesn't matter, because it's not about me. I'm not doing it for me, right? I'm doing it for the woman who needs to know that she's worth something and she belongs at that table.
Yeah. So true. And I think it also helps you to differentiate, to know whether it's just a fear, like a self-doubt, or it's something that you shouldn't really do. Once you know your why, you will be truthful, because you don't have to do everything. Sometimes we just love it that, I can do this, I can do that, but it's not you. So being truthful with yourself goes back to you knowing your why.
And you know what's I love you're so insightful, because there is a difference between intuition telling you something, because and a lot of us haven't really developed the skill to know
Yeah.
that we have this inner wisdom that's speaking to us. So getting to know this inner guide, this inner coach, this inner wisdom is really important. And so yes, being able to differentiate it. And I think only somebody who is actually very confident is going to decide what to do rather than trying to do everything, because trying to do everything a lot of times come from a place of I'm trying to prove myself and that I could do everything.
Yes. Yes.
But when you're confident, you don't have anything to prove.
Yeah.
And you know what the limits you have. You know you don't have 200 hours in a day to get 5 million things done. And so you can be confident in saying no and setting boundaries.
Yeah. Very true. Oh, Kisha, we can talk so much on this topic, but thank you so much for your time. But finally, I just want you to talk to us about not hiding from our greatness when it comes to business or life, or even using our what you call super advantage.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Yes, I love that you bring this up. One of the things that I do is I help women, first of all, identify the value that you bring, that no, and I say bring to the table, but it's not just limited to the corporate space.
Yes.
The advantage that you bring to the table, because there's a whole concept, there's a whole conversation, around privilege, right? Here in the US. Like your privilege, white privilege, and yes, I agree. There is privileges based on ethnicity and sometimes gender as well. But regardless of our background, regardless of who we are, we all have advantages that we bring to the table. And so focusing on the advantage that you have, and that takes some self-work, that takes some deep reflection and spending time in, again, reviewing your experience, your story, your life experience, and everything that all the sauce makes you, and really owning that. And so when you're able to actually really show up and powerfully own that, then you can step out and be willing to take a bet on you, because only by taking a bet on you are you going to stand up and be center stage. A lot of times as women, we take a bet on everybody else. We invest in our kids. We support our boss. We invest in everybody else, but we don't invest in us, and we don't take a bet on us. And I think the only way you can actually be able to do that powerfully is knowing those advantages and being able to show up powerfully, owning it, and then be unapologetic about it.
Yeah, so true. Oh, Kisha, thank you so much for your time. I wish to have you back again sometime, and then we'll dive deeper into this.
Yes. And just for anybody, I have a guide that I would love to share. I'll leave it in the link. Sure. Whenever you put this up. It's called 10 confidence building strategies that you can implement now. Awesome. It's a totally free guide. And it literally walks you through some of the practices that I talked about today that will help you build that internal calm confidence.
Yeah, because I don't think it's something that you are born with or you get it in a day. You build that confidence, and you may make mistakes along the line. You build over time with experience, and also be vulnerable to put yourself out there and curious enough to learn. And I think that's when we can grow.
It's been great. I really enjoyed it.
It's been great, Kisha. Thank you so much for being here. We'll have you next time.
All right. Take care.